Synthetic Engineering Public Questions Survey. What's your name and where are you from?
My name's Lewis, I'm from Bristol, I'm an architecture student.
Okay, do you know what synthetic engineering is?
I haven't got a clue, mate.
Okay, synthetic engineering is a new technology where DNA code is removed from a living cell and then digitised into a computer. The DNA is then reprogrammed to do something that is not intended to do in nature. This synthetic DNA is then placed back into an empty cell, thus a new synthetic life form has been produced. What are your thoughts and emotions on this? How does it make you feel?
My thoughts on that are, I think if it can be used for the benefit of like human well-being and stuff, so if there's something that can be done to improve someone who would have a genetic weakness in an area of fighting a particular disease, for example, if it could be used to strengthen that ability in that area, I think it's a positive thing.
Wicked. So you would say that would be what you think are the benefits of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
What would you say are the pitfalls? What would you say would be a bit bad about this subject?
Pitfalls of that, I suppose you'd have to be very careful to ensure that it wasn't just the most kind of affluent people who would be able to kind of afford this kind of technology, and thus I think as the kind of gap in wealth between rich and poor increases, therefore as would health between rich and poor as well.
So you say it sounds quite expensive?
I'm not saying it sounds expensive, I'm saying I think you'd have to be careful that the richer, the people who would be able to access this kind of technology, there's a risk of them being able to modify particular parts of their DNA so much that I think it'd be unfair for more affluent people to be able to have that access to cell modification, for example.
Right.
That maybe people in less affluent countries who maybe need it more wouldn't be able to access.
Okay, so people definitely need it, you're saying, but do you think it should be stopped or should it be established?
I think it should be kind of integrated in a way that is ethical and in a way that isn't adversely affected.
So don't just jump into it.
No, I think it's could be quite a dangerous area.
In what way would it be dangerous?
I think there's a kind of balance in nature that shouldn't be too badly messed with.
Okay, excellent. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the same questions in a bit, but I'm going to teach you a bit more about what it can do and what the benefits are and more about what it is, okay? So synthetic engineering is a technology that enables us to program microorganisms to hunt and kill cancerous cells, parasitic diseases such as malaria, and help rebuild damage left by liver disease and heart disease. It can also program cells to stop epilepsy in the event of a seizure and combat infectious illnesses such as MRSA and leukemia. Synthetic engineering can also enable us to develop more sustainable methods of agriculture by cutting down the cost by eliminating the need for chemical pesticides. This new technology can also enable us to make new biofuels from plants that are an alternative to fossil fuels and have much lower CO2 emissions. In third world and developing countries, we can also develop new ways of testing water for contaminants such as parasites and toxic waste, as well as develop new vaccines against polio, AIDS and other diseases. We can also use this method to clean up toxic oil spills out of the sea, as well as develop new ways of generating energy that have little effect on the biosphere. So what are your thoughts and emotions on this synthetic engineering now, after hearing that?
I think that you've just kind of showed me quite a few different ways that it can be beneficial that I wouldn't have thought of.
Okay.
So, for example, obviously before too much longer we're going to have to search for alternative fuels and things like that, and if it can benefit research in that area, that's obviously a benefit.
Excellent.
And obviously, like organ regeneration, that's if that can be implemented in a way that helps that.
Well, the way that it works with cancer already is that they've tested it in a lab, is that they can program your DNA before you're born in your parents to actually pretty much become immune to developing cancerous cells. Because if cancer isn't an infectious thing, it's just something that it's a reaction to
Yeah,
cells
yeah,
in the body.
it's-
So they can program the nucleus in your cell to not react
To not have that.
in this way. Yeah,
Sure.
so it can eradicate cancer, but it can't cure someone who already has it, kind of thing.
Sure,
It's the
yes.
same with a lot of the other illnesses like polio. And
So
stuff
it's
like that.
prevention as opposed
It's-
to...
yeah. So you can eradicate these diseases. So, okay, how does this talking about eradicating cancer and polio and AIDS and MRSA? How does that make you feel? Is it to make you happy? Does it make you sad or worried or?
If it can be implemented in a way that helps people to fight these diseases, then it's great.
Excellent. Okay. Moving on. So, would you still say it should be stopped, or would you be more saying that it's established now? Should be established?
Definitely, if it can be worked in a sustainable and safe
Excellent.
way, it's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm going to tell you about some bad things about it and the implications on different things. So, synthetic engineering is a technology that produces life forms. These life forms all need feeding. This means that there will be a need for a whole new form of agriculture developed in order to feed the synthetic life forms that create our new biofuels and materials and various other things. Farmers in third world countries will no longer be just farming to feed the human race, but will also be farming to feed the synthetic engineering industry. So basically, if you're making diesel from yeast, the yeast needs to be fed on glucose, which is sugar, which is produced in countries. So these people would be needing to feed that as opposed to human beings. Also, synthetic engineering could also be the root of new viruses and biological warfare, but will also be a defence against any attacks of this nature. So how does that make you feel, and what are your thoughts on synthetic engineering after hearing that?
There's already quite a huge demand on Earth's resources. We're already struggling to cope with the population of the world, and if this technology is going to help to kind of increase the population of the Earth in terms of having people on it, and also in terms of well, obviously you're talking about needing to feed this technology as well, then I think it comes down to whether the resources created by this kind of technology outweigh the resources needed to create it. If you know what I mean. If the benefits outweigh the strain on the resources that we have available to us, then it's good. If it's adversely affecting it,
So it's almost
then
a
it
gamble
shouldn't be.
and changing.
It's about kind of finding the balance, I think.
Okay, excellent. Finally, do you think that this technology needs to be fully addressed before we can make a rational decision as to whether it is beneficial or otherwise? Is it a good idea to educate the world about this new technology?
I think the benefits and drawbacks should be clearly outlined, and people should be made aware of the good and bad aspects of it before it is widely implemented.